In the late 1980s, Johnny Depp had achieved what many aspiring actors only dream about: widespread fame and adoration. His role in the hit TV series 21 Jump Street had catapulted him into the mainstream spotlight. As Officer Tom Hansen, he became the face of teen rebellion, the kind of good-looking, leather jacket-wearing outsider that Hollywood loved to market to young audiences. Fans adored him. Magazines plastered his face across their covers. Studios wanted more of him. But inside, Depp was growing increasingly restless. The fame felt hollow, the attention felt intrusive, and the roles he was being offered all seemed to blur into the same formula: charming, shallow, and commercially safe. He began to feel like a product rather than a performer. What the industry wanted from him was clear: to continue playing the teen idol, the safe choice, the pretty face with a predictable smile. But what Depp wanted was something entirely different. Johnny had never aspired to be a typical celebrity. He hadn't even set out to be an actor in the first place. Music had been his first love. Acting was supposed to be an adventure, a way to explore strange, meaningful, even uncomfortable ideas through characters. But 21 Jump Street had made him a symbol of something he didn't believe in. With every new fan letter and commercial offer, Depp felt further away from who he truly was. And so he began to push back. It started quietly, turning down roles that others would have seen as career gold. He rejected scripts that were one-dimensional, cliched, or designed to keep him in the same teen dream category. This wasn't easy. Hollywood had already written a version of his story, and stepping outside of that narrative meant taking a serious risk. Agents and producers were confused, studios were disappointed. But Depp didn't care. He wasn't interested in being safe. He was interested in being honest. This desire to reinvent himself wasn't just professional, it was personal. Depp started to change how he presented himself in public. He let his appearance become less polished, less curated. He wore what he wanted. He stopped trying to impress. He chose privacy over premieres and authenticity over popularity. The more Hollywood tried to shape him, the more he resisted. He also began seeking out projects that spoke to him on a deeper level. He wasn't interested in traditional protagonists. He was drawn to outsiders, misfits, loners, people who didn't quite fit in, just like he often felt in real life. These weren't the kinds of characters that made big money at the box office, but they were rich, complex, and emotionally raw. The shift was intentional, and it was radical. Depp was trying to dismantle the image the industry had built around him. It wasn't a smooth or easy path. Some fans were confused by his choices. Critics didn't always understand. But Johnny wasn't chasing approval anymore. He was chasing meaning. This internal transformation would shape the kind of actor he would become in the 1990s. It was during this time that he truly began to distance himself from the label of teen idol and move toward becoming one of the most unique, unpredictable talents in Hollywood. He had chosen to redefine his path, even if it meant taking the long way around. Looking back, this period wasn't just a rejection of fame, it was a declaration of identity. Depp was making it clear he would not be boxed in. He would not play roles that didn't speak to him. He would not allow his face to be his legacy. And in doing so, he set himself apart from nearly every other rising star of his generation. After walking away from the glossy world of teen television, Johnny Depp needed a new beginning. not just in career choices, but in the kind of characters he brought to life. That opportunity came with two unconventional, genre-defying roles that would change his image forever: Cry Baby, 1990, and Edward Scissorhands, 1990. Both films arrived the same year, and both allowed Depp to shatter the teen heartthrob persona that 21 Jump Street had forced upon him. These weren't safe roles. These weren't commercial formulas. These were strange, risky, and artistically bold choices, and Depp embraced them fully. In Cry Baby, directed by cult filmmaker John Waters, Depp played Wade Crybaby Walker, a leather-clad juvenile delinquent with a heart of gold and a single teardrop tattoo under one eye. The film was a tongue-in-cheek parody of 1950s teen dramas, and Depp leaned into the absurdity of the role. It allowed him to mock the very image that had made him famous, the misunderstood bad boy, and flip it on its head. His performance was both ironic and sincere, a wink at his own media persona. Though Cry Baby didn't dominate the box office, it quickly gained a cult following. More importantly, it signaled to Hollywood and to audiences that Johnny Depp was willing to take risks. He wasn't afraid of satire, of weirdness, or of roles that didn't fit into neat categories. He was deliberately steering his career toward the fringe, but it was Edward Scissorhands that truly cemented his transformation. Directed by Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhands was a dark fairy tale about an artificial man with scissors for hands, left unfinished by his creator and forced to navigate a pastel-colored suburban world. The role required vulnerability, physical expressiveness, and a quiet emotional depth. Depp had almost no dialogue. He had to act with his eyes, his face, and his body language, and he delivered something unforgettable. Edward was strange, fragile, isolated, but there was something deeply human about him. For Depp, this role wasn't just acting, it was a reflection of how he often felt in the real world: misunderstood, out of place, a beautiful, broken soul surrounded by artificial perfection. The film was a commercial and critical success, and it introduced the world to a new Johnny Depp, one who was more interested in emotional truth than in commercial appeal. It also marked the beginning of a powerful creative partnership with Tim Burton, a director whose own offbeat sensibilities mirrored Depp's. Together, they would go on to make some of the most visually unique and emotionally haunting films of the next 2 decades. With Cry Baby and Edward Scissorhands, Depp had done more than just take on new roles. He had declared his independence. He had proven that he could transform, that he could lead without conforming, and that his artistic instincts were more important than his marketability. This was no longer the Johnny Depp from teen magazines and television. This was a reinvented artist, a shapeshifter, an outsider who had finally found a way to be fully himself by becoming someone else entirely. The beginning of Johnny Depp's collaboration with director Tim Burton marked a pivotal moment in his career and in modern cinema. It wasn't just a case of actor and director working together. It was something deeper, more instinctive. Together, they built a world that felt uniquely their own, a place where misfits, dreamers, and darkly poetic souls could exist outside of Hollywood norms. Their partnership began with Edward Scissorhands in 1990. From the moment they met, Depp and Burton sensed a mutual understanding. They were both outsiders in their own way, both drawn to the strange, the surreal, and the emotionally raw. While Burton was often criticized for being too weird, and Depp was trying to shake off his status as a teen idol, they found in each other a shared language. They didn't need to explain much. They just got it. On the set of Edward Scissorhands, Depp discovered something rare: creative freedom. Burton didn't want him to be charming or cool or sellable. He wanted vulnerability, sadness, silence, and Depp gave him everything. He poured his own feelings of loneliness and alienation into the character. What came out wasn't just a performance, it was a kind of catharsis. The success of that film solidified their bond. Critics began to see Depp not just as a former TV star, but as a serious, daring actor. And for Burton, Depp became his ideal on-screen collaborator, someone willing to go anywhere to become anything, no matter how strange or visually extreme. Over the years, their collaboration evolved into something that resembled a creative marriage. Together, they built some of the most iconic, visually arresting films of the 1990s and 2000s. Ed Wood, 1994, was their next joint project, a bizarre yet heartfelt biopic about the worst director of all time. Depp's portrayal of the eternally optimistic and flamboyant Ed Wood was filled with joy, vulnerability, and a surprising amount of hope, a performance few other actors could have delivered with such sincerity. Then came Sleepy Hollow, 1999, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 2005, Corpse Bride, 2005, Sweeney Todd, 2007, Alice in Wonderland, 2010, and Dark Shadows, 2012. Each film pushed boundaries in story, in tone, in style, and each time Depp dove in without hesitation. Whether playing a singing demon barber or a twisted version of Willy Wonka, he trusted Burton completely, and Burton trusted him. Their films weren't always universally praised, but they were never boring. They were bold, visually daring, emotionally strange. The characters Depp played under Burton's direction were almost always outsiders, eccentric, lonely, broken people trying to make sense of a world that didn't accept them. These roles became an extension of Depp's own search for identity, a reflection of the parts of himself he never felt comfortable revealing anywhere else. Off-screen, their friendship remained strong. They spoke in shorthand. They understood each other's silences. In many ways, Depp and Burton didn't just collaborate, they protected each other. In an industry obsessed with trends and money, they created a pocket of creative purity, a place where weirdness wasn't just tolerated, it was celebrated. The partnership between Johnny Depp and Tim Burton isn't just one of the most recognizable actor-director duos in film history. It's one of the most emotionally resonant. Two artists, both searching for something real in a world of illusion, found that truth in each other's work. And for audiences, their films remain a testament to what happens when two creative forces stop chasing the spotlight and start chasing something stranger, deeper, and far more lasting. At the dawn of the 1990s, Johnny Depp had just reinvented himself as a serious actor. He had escaped the glossy teen idol image of 21 Jump Street and was embracing a world of darker, more artistic expression. And then, at the height of this personal and creative transformation, he met Winona Ryder, a rising star in her own right, known for her roles in Beetlejuice, Heathers, and Edward Scissorhands. Their meeting would ignite one of the most iconic celebrity romances of the era. Johnny and Winona first locked eyes at a movie premiere in 1989. The chemistry was instant, almost cinematic. He later described the moment as love at first sight. It was a classic glance, Depp would recall. Like the zoom lenses in West Side Story, everything else gets foggy. They began dating almost immediately, and their relationship quickly became the subject of fascination across the media. But this wasn't the typical Hollywood romance. It was intense, passionate, almost too much for the real world. Both young, both emotionally raw, both searching for meaning in a world that didn't always make sense, they clung to each other like lifelines. When Edward Scissorhands began filming, the connection between Depp and Ryder added an extra layer of emotion to their roles. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, but it was their off-screen love that made the film even more poignant. For many, it was impossible to separate Edward's quiet longing from Depp's real-life affection for Winona. As their relationship deepened, Johnny did something bold and permanent. He tattooed Winona forever on his arm, a symbol of his love and commitment. It was the kind of romantic gesture that made headlines, but for Depp, it wasn't about publicity. It was about truth. In a world full of fake relationships and studio arrangements, this was something real, something pure. They were both unconventional, both introverted in a way. Instead of the glitz of red carpets, they preferred late-night conversations, poetry, music, and exploring the strange corners of life. They were artists first, lovers second, or maybe both at once. Their relationship wasn't just about romance, it was about creative companionship. But as quickly as it had begun, the whirlwind began to collapse under its own weight. The pressure of fame, the endless tabloid speculation, and the emotional intensity proved to be too much. In 1993, after 4 years together, Johnny and Winona broke up. It wasn't ugly or explosive. It was sad, heartbreaking, a quiet ending to something that had once felt immortal. Depp was devastated. He later said the breakup wrecked him. For someone who had always felt like an outsider, losing Winona meant losing one of the few people who truly understood him. The Winona Forever tattoo, he didn't erase it. He altered it, changing it to Wino Forever. A gesture half in jest, half in pain. It became a symbol of that era, romantic, wild, and ultimately fleeting. But the legacy of their relationship lived on. Fans still speak of Johnny and Winona as one of Hollywood's most iconic love stories. Not because it lasted, but because it meant something. It was raw, honest, and unforgettable. In the years that followed, Depp would go on to have other relationships, other heartbreaks, other tattoos. But that brief, fiery moment with Winona Ryder remained etched into his story, not just in ink, but in spirit. It was a chapter of purity and passion, the kind of love that comes only once, if ever. And for a moment in time, it was everything. In 1993, Johnny Depp took on a role that wasn't strange, surreal, or eccentric. There were no scissors for hands, no silent comedy tributes, no dreamlike journeys through surreal landscapes. This time he was playing something much closer to himself, a quiet, emotionally restrained young man stuck in a small town, carrying the weight of a broken family. That film was What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and for many it remains one of Johnny Depp's most honest, heartbreaking performances. Set in the fictional town of Endora, Iowa, a place where nothing ever happens, the film follows Gilbert Grape, a young man stuck between obligation and desire. He lives with his two sisters, his morbidly obese mother, and his intellectually disabled younger brother, Arnie. played by Leonardo DiCaprio in a role that would earn him his first Oscar nomination. Gilbert's life is defined by routine. He works at a small grocery store. He repairs the old family home that's falling apart. And most of all, he looks after Arnie, a job that requires constant attention, patience, and emotional resilience. Depp's portrayal of Gilbert is subtle but deeply layered. Every look, every pause, every quiet sigh tells a story of exhaustion, guilt, and love. What made this role so powerful wasn't just what Johnny did on screen, it was what he didn't do. He held back. He let the stillness speak. Gilbert Grape isn't a man of many words. He doesn't have grand dreams or big speeches. He's stuck, not just physically in Andorra, but emotionally in a place of quiet despair. He feels responsible for everyone but himself. In a way, Gilbert is a prisoner of his own kindness, and in that stillness, Depp revealed his greatest strength as an actor: empathy. You could feel the ache behind his eyes, the years of unspoken sacrifice. You believed that he loved Arnie with his whole heart, even when it broke him. You understood that he didn't hate his mother, even if he felt trapped by her sighs, her sadness, her silence. Depp never made Gilbert melodramatic. He made him human. Working alongside Leonardo DiCaprio was another challenge. Leo's performance was electric, unpredictable, physical, heartbreaking, and instead of competing, Johnny supported him. He gave Leo the space to shine while grounding the story with his own quiet gravity. Their chemistry on screen wasn't forced, it felt lived in, real, like two brothers who had grown up together, bound by pain and responsibility. The film also offered a rare portrayal of small-town poverty without caricature. Andorra wasn't cruel, it was just forgotten. And Gilbert wasn't angry, he was tired. Depp's performance captured that weariness, that tension between wanting more and being too loyal to leave. His few moments of joy, like the tender romance with Becky, Juliette Lewis, a free-spirited girl passing through town, felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Behind the scenes, Depp later admitted the role was emotionally draining. It forced him to confront his own upbringing, his complicated relationship with his family, and the idea of being the one who holds everything together. There was something deeply personal in how he portrayed Gilbert. It wasn't just acting, it was remembering. What's Eating Gilbert Grape wasn't a blockbuster, but it touched people, quietly, deeply. It became one of those rare films that audiences didn't just watch, they carried it with them. For Depp, it was proof that he didn't need outlandish costumes or elaborate characters to move people. All he needed was truth. Looking back, Gilbert Grape is still one of Johnny Depp's most human roles. It captured a moment in time where he stripped away all the Hollywood artifice and simply felt. And in doing so, he reminded the world that the quietest stories can sometimes be the loudest.